Welcome in to another edition of Just the Truth. Boy, have we had a busy week, huh? Glad to have you join me on the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Sounds to me like the fat lady may be about to start singing in the GOP presidential primary, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's campaign is not too happy about it as they lashed out at the Republican National Committee and its chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, yesterday over a draft resolution that's being considered by the party to declare former President Donald Trump the presumptive GOP nominee. We'll dive into that in today's edition. Social media users tore into President Biden yesterday after he made a series of verbal stumbles during an address at a Wisconsin brewery. This is very sad, but very serious, that the most powerful person on earth can't complete a sentence. Biden's latest gaffe, up in just a minute. Former President Donald Trump yesterday gave his backing to Texas Governor Greg Abbott amid the latter's feud with the Biden administration over border security, urging states to send their National Guards to the border and promising to work hand in hand with the state to combat the invasion if he's elected president and inaugurated again in January 2025. This is getting pretty serious, folks. We'll dive into this as well. Republican Louisiana Senator Sen Kennedy, he strikes again. When are these nominees for federal judgeships going to learn that they're going to probably be asked a few simple questions by Senator Kennedy? He stumped another one yesterday. Robin Meriweather just asked a basic question about how the Court of Federal Claims works. This lady, nominated by Joe Biden to be a judge, had no clue. And Alabama last night executed its first inmate with nitrogen gas, a controversial method that causes oxygen deprivation that has been criticized as inhumane. The execution took place following a failed last-minute legal battle. We'll talk about some of the details of that as well.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
On our guest line this morning, Senator Tim Scott.
Thank you for listening to one of the best radio shows. Joey, God bless your leadership.
Joey, congratulations on your new show.
I just wanted to let you know that I always appreciate your perspective and your common sense approach to the issues.
You know what? If people like you keep telling us the truth, believe me, we're paying close attention.
Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
A resolution proposed yesterday by RNC committee member David Bossie, a former 2016 Trump campaign official, that would effectively end the GOP primary despite Nikki Haley's vow to continue her campaign into her home state of South Carolina next month. Haley campaign spokeswoman Olivia Perez-Cubas told Fox News, "Who cares what the RNC says? We'll let millions of Republican voters across the country decide who should be our party's nominee, not a bunch of Washington insiders." She added, if Ronna McDaniel wants to be helpful, she can organize a debate in South Carolina, unless she's also worried that Trump can't handle being on stage for 90 minutes with Nikki Haley. You know, this is one of the most common political tactics out there. Challenge your opponent to a debate, particularly if you're behind and there doesn't appear to be a path to victory. Debate. No way Donald Trump's ever going to be on the same stage with Governor Nikki Haley, and she knows it. She's just trying to make him appear to not want to face her and answer questions of the American people. In a statement, RNC spokesperson Keith Shipper said, quote, resolutions such as this one are brought forward by members of the RNC. Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel doesn't offer resolutions. This will be taken up by the committee, and they will decide whether to send this resolution to be voted on by the 168 RNC members at our annual meeting next week. The resolution could be voted on as early as next week when the RNC convenes for its winter meeting in Las Vegas with 168 committee members, but it's clear not everyone's ready to go along with declaring Trump the nominee, including RNC committee member Bill Palatucci from New Jersey. He's been a Trump critic. He's close to former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, He told the media in a statement, a silly resolution to say he is the presumptive nominee, insulting to millions of primary voters who wait for the opportunity to get involved in presidential politics every 4 years. Another example of Trump's authoritarian streak. We don't need Super Tuesday or any other primaries. I'll just have it handed to me, he said. Love to hear what you think about this. How would you feel? And I'm particularly asking listeners in South Carolina, and we have listeners to Just the Truth all around the country, and actually around the world. We have some in the UK and other countries, but particularly for those of you who listen and live in South Carolina, how would you feel if the RNC approves this resolution next week at their winter meeting and basically just nullified a South Carolina primary? Do you want a chance to vote, or are you good with this? You can send me your comments on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-5639, 864-477-JOEY. Haley is the, of course, sole remaining challenger to Trump in this race, facing a sizable odds, I would say, after Trump won 2 convincing victories in Iowa and New Hampshire. Early polls have suggested that Haley could lose by a very wide margin in the February 24th South Carolina primary as well. Following her loss in New Hampshire this week, McDaniel called on Haley to drop out of the race so the party could coalesce around Trump. Here's what she said in her suggestion that maybe it's time to end this primary.
Looking at the math and the path going forward, and I don't see it for Nikki Haley. I think she's run a great campaign, but I do think there is a message that's coming out from the voters, which is very clear. We need to unite around our eventual nominee, which is going to be Donald Trump, and we need to make sure we beat Joe Biden. It is 10 months away till the November election, and we can't wait any longer to put our foot on the gas, to beat the worst president, to beat a president that's kept our borders open, allowed fentanyl to pour through, allowed inflation to go rampant. He is hurting the American people, and we need to do everything we can to unite so that we can defeat him. Again, I ask you, how do you feel about that? Do you agree with Ronna McDaniel that maybe it's time to call it quits and start working towards defeating Joe Biden in November? 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your text comments to the Furman Ford text line. You can leave me a quick voice message as well. Your emails are welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Social media users tore into President Joe Biden yesterday after he made a series of verbal stumbles during an address at a Wisconsin brewery. This is kind of sad. You know, I'm not a supporter of Joe Biden. I don't think he deserves to be in the White House. But he's also a human being. And it just made me sad to see him and over the last few months to see a person like Joe Biden literally embarrass himself. He's the most powerful person on the earth, and he can't complete a sentence. Biden's latest gaffe up in just a minute. First, let me talk with you about your health. Is this the year that you're going to lose weight and keep it off? Is this the year that you're going to change your health? I've been sharing with you my journey, my success with PhD weight loss and nutrition program over 3 years now. Most of you know that I lost 30 pounds relatively quickly when I started the program. And more importantly, I've been able to maintain that weight loss ever since. If you're ready to get healthy, if you're ready to sleep better, to be able to focus, if you're ready to do things, maybe get out and play with the kids, the grandkids, do some things that you haven't been able to do in a long, long time, make that first call right now, 864-252-4925. If you didn't get that, just press pause on the podcast. That's what I love about this. I've had a number of people say, hey, I love the podcast because I can stop it and I can come back and listen again. So 864-252-4925. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition today. Set up an appointment and see if this program is right for you.
And I promise you, once you start the program, within a few weeks, you're going to be texting me or calling me and saying, thank you. Thank you for telling me about this. Thank you for the fact that I've just lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and I'm changing my life. Dr. Ashley Lucas will help you do that. Her program is based on the science of nutrition. I promise you, you will not regret making this phone call. You can also find them online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So Joe Biden was giving a speech at Earth Rider Brewery in Superior, Wisconsin, where he promoted his economic record, the Bidenomics, the program that he keeps traveling around the country bragging about, that actually has caused a lot of pain to families around the country. As I was in New Hampshire this past week talking with voters there, of course, immigration was the big issue, which surprised me that immigration was above our economy. But a lot of people told me their stories of how it's been painful for them to feed their families, to put gas in the car, to pay their mortgage or their rent. Biden is traveling around making this self-proclaimed successful Bidenomics, his what he likes to call bipartisan infrastructure legislation. Yeah, there were a few Republicans who supported it, unfortunately. Online lookers were distracted from the economic talking points by an extended gaffe Biden made about beer and the place that he was at, this brewery. Partway through his remarks, he appeared to mumble. It sounds like he says, "The beer brewed here, it is used to make the beer brewed here." While most of the sentence was kind of unintelligible, he seemed to add, "Ooh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder why." People kind of laughed. I don't even know what they were laughing about. Here, I want you to listen to it, and somebody interpret this for me.
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder why it's called.
As you heard, he kind of trailed off as the audience laughter drowned him out, though it seemed unclear as to what exactly, again, they were laughing at. X-users didn't get the joke. Conservative influencer Colin Rugg posted, "Just in, President Biden sounds like he's speaking a different language while giving a speech at the Earth Ride Brewery in Superior, Wisconsin. Don't worry, the media has assured us that he is sharper than ever." He then provided his own translation of the speech, adding, "The beer brewed here, it is used to make the beer brewed here. During his define, oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes, I wonder why." Biden said, according to my speech transcriber, inspirational. The RNC research account wrote, "Biden is having a very tough time reading from his giant teleprompter today." And that's the thing. It's not like he has to remember this stuff. He is reading it from a teleprompter. The Trump campaign X account, Team Trump, commented on Biden's flub, stating, "Cognitively impaired Joe Biden, by the way, it used to make beer brew here. It is used to make the and they disclaim inaudible." It was inaudible. Juanita Broderick, the former nursing administrator who accused former President Bill Clinton of raping her, commented on Biden's remarks, saying, "Joe is unwell." The Mark Levin Show producer Rich Samenta described the moment as Biden's best gibberish yet. Conservative commentator Paul Scipola had a more sober take on the matter, writing, "Every time I see these clips, I'm reminded of how I was raised to respect my elders and treat them with dignity. What Democrats are doing by propping Biden up like this when he's clearly debilitated is not respectful or dignified. It's shameful and an insult to all elderly." Conservative influencer Cat Turd remarked, "What the FFF? This is getting so bad. What a freaking joke." The account for OP Radio asked, "Anyone speak Biden? Something about beer?" Let's listen again. I'm going to play this for you one more time, and can somebody interpret this for me? If you can interpret it for me, send me your interpretation to the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-5639. Send me what you think Joe Biden is saying here. I'll come up with some kind of prize for you. I don't know what it is. Let's listen again. Tell me what Joe Biden is saying.
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder what it's saying.
All right, I'm waiting for your text. Tell me what he just said. 864-477-5639 is the Furman Ford text line. Former President Donald Trump yesterday gave his backing to Texas Governor Greg Abbott amid the feud with the Biden administration over border security, urging states to send their National Guard to the border and promising to work hand in hand with the state to combat the invasion if he's reelected. Portions of today's show made possible by Furman Ford. It's never been more important than ever to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in our community. You're looking to make a purchase of a new vehicle? Let me encourage you to take the short drive to Lawrence to Furman Ford. Say hello to Matthew Furman, to Jim Furman. Let them know that I sent you. And I promise you, you won't regret going to Furman Ford to make that next purchase. Or maybe you have some services you need done. They service all makes and models. You don't have to have purchased a vehicle there. It doesn't have to be a Ford. And they're not going to make you wait weeks and weeks for the service. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman, they're just great to deal with. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line with every single transaction. That means when you stop in or you call or you email, you're going to be able to talk with someone in the family who actually works there, lives there, and your money stays in the community. Furman Ford. Find them online at FurmanFord.com. That's FurmanFord.com. In post to Truth Social, Donald Trump backed Texas Governor Greg Abbott and accused President Biden of fighting to tie the hands of the Republican governor so that the invasion continues unchecked. A feud has been brewing, to use the beer lingo again. How would Biden describe it? This confrontation between Governor Abbott and Joe Biden has been building for months. Abbott, it appears, has reached his limits, and this has reached a new level. It pretty much exploded this past this week after Texas seized the Shelby Park 2 weeks ago. That's an area of Eagle Pass, and blocked the Border Patrol from entering. We have a situation here of state officers who are challenging federal officers. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court this week found in the administration's favor when it granted an emergency appeal to allow agents to keep cutting the border wire that Texas has set up to try to keep people from coming across. And it's also acting as a deterrent. It's showing people that, hey, don't try to come across this. Don't risk your life to cross the border here. Joe Biden wants his federal agents to remove that barrier. The two sides have been feuding since 2021 when this migrant crisis just really escalated. Texas launched Operation Lone Star to surge resources to the border. The administration recently sued over an anti-illegal immigration law that allows state and local law enforcement to arrest illegal immigrants. It's also sued over the states setting up those buoys in the Rio Grande. You know the string of buoys that they have put across that would keep people from crossing the river. The administration says that immigration enforcement is up to the federal government, and Texas is interfering. Texas would argue that the federal government is interfering with their efforts to protect themselves. A recent White House statement said whether it is leaving migrants on the side of the road in the dead of winter, installing razor wire to make Border Patrol's job more dangerous, promoting extreme and unconstitutional laws like SB 4, or his latest actions in Eagle Pass, Governor Abbott has repeatedly proven that he is not interested in solutions and only seeks to politicize the border. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked by the media yesterday if the White House will authorize federal agents to literally remove the razor wire.
How quickly does the administration intend to remove all the razor wire that has been set up?
So I don't have the specifics on what the border security is going to do and how they're going to do it. Look, we are certainly glad that the Supreme Court made the decision to vacate the injunction that prevented border security to actually do their jobs, to do laws, and it got in the way.
Lieutenant Chris Oliveras with the Texas Law Enforcement says that the federal government is doing everything it can to keep Texas from defending itself from an invasion.
Texas is doing putting every measure in place to prevent that, to try to discourage that. But yet at the federal level, the federal government has not done anything as far as trying to discourage illegal immigration, especially those that want to cross a dangerous river.
Meanwhile, Governor Abbott this week cited a right to self-defense and noted that he has already declared an invasion to invoke the authority, which he calls the supreme law of the land, and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. Here's Governor Abbott describing why he feels like he has the authority to do what he's doing to protect the citizens of Texas and ultimately you and me.
So it was the states that created the United States. And when the states voted to create the United States and have a constitution, included in that agreement was the compact that the federal government would take care of the states. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution speaks to that and says that if the federal government does not take care of the states, then the states are in danger, we can ask the federal government to live up to its obligation. Then the authors of the Constitution knew there would be times when the federal government would not live up to its duty. And so they empowered states in Article 1, Section 10, the right of self-defense. And what Texas is asserting is our Article 1, Section 10 right of self-defense, because the President of the United States is not fulfilling his duty to enforce the laws passed by Congress that deny illegal entry into the United States.
Governor, will you instruct your officers to physically prevent federal officers from accessing that part of the border?
So what Texas is doing is just very simple. And that is because the Biden administration has really, truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws. Texas very simply is securing the border. And so we put up the razor wire that you were talking about, Bill, and we put up all these barricades that actually have denied illegal entry. And as you pointed out also in that screen, that there are criminals coming across our border. Texas has a right as a state to stop criminals from coming into our state, to make arrests of those criminals. And we have National Guard as well as Texas Department of Public Safety officers who are there to make those arrests and to deny illegal entry. And Joe Biden actually does have an option here. Joe Biden's option is to enforce the laws of the United States and stop this illegal entry.
President Donald Trump said that Abbott must be given full support and encouraged all willing states to deploy their guards to Texas to prevent the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. And he vowed that day one, when he's president, instead of fighting Texas, he said, I'll work hand in hand with Governor Abbott and other border states to stop the invasion. Abbott has also picked up support of more than 24 Republican states who have publicly expressed their support for the state. Meanwhile, some Democrats have urged the Biden administration to seize control of the National Guard. Watch this closely, folks, because this is going to get messy. One Republican governor of an interior state has pledged that she's going to support the governor. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem told Fox News that Abbott is doing the right thing and vows to literally drive in razor wire fencing to the border herself if it's needed. She said, I'll drive in more razor wire from South Dakota if I have to support Governor Abbott. Chip Roy, the U.S. congressman who represents the area, warned that Biden will be an idiot to commence a standoff or worse with Texas National Guard members now using the park, as parallels were drawn to the last instance of the National Guard federalization 67 years ago. And again, there are other Republican governors who have pledged their support to Texas. Are we looking at the beginning of another civil war here? Will Joe Biden let this happen on his watch? 864-477-5639 is the Furman Ford text line. Texter says what it seems to be is a threat towards Christy Lake and Donald Trump. Now, this is in reference to the audio recording that was released this week, and the Arizona GOP chairman lost his job over. The texter says this shows that some of the GOP are crooked. Why are they? I've said it before. D.C. needs a rocket-sized enema and a truckload of X-Lax. DeWitt was 100% saying, join us or else. I pray for godly protection over President Trump. These referenced evil people are out to take him out. Jeff says, I would never vote for Nikki Haley, but it bothers me. Everyone calls her a quitter. She did quit the UN, but the governor, anybody would have done that to work for President Donald Trump. Our text of encouragement today, God always gives his best to those who leave the choice with him. God bless. Thank you for that. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line as well, 864-477-5639. Leave your voice message and email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, I love this guy. He struck again yesterday as the senator stumped judicial nominee Robin Meriweather this week with a question about how the Court of Federal Claims works. Stick with me here for a minute because you're going to want to hear this one. Portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff who have no appliance knowledge? You're not going to get that when you make the short drive over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse. The team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're there to help you make that decision. Appliances are not inexpensive. In fact, they're quite expensive, and you can't afford to make the wrong decision, to purchase the wrong appliance for your family. That's why Jeff and Johnny and the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they'll walk you through the 11,000 square feet with about 1,500 appliances at any given time, waiting for you. And then they'll deliver it. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties. They'll take care of you well after the sale. Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. President Joe Biden nominated this Robin Meriweather to be a judge on the Court of Federal Claims in early January. Senator Kennedy first began his line of questioning by asking how many motions Meriweather has argued in the Court of Federal Claims. Meriweather said that she's argued hundreds of motions involving complex civil claims in numerous courts. The Court of Federal Claims is not one of those. And I suspect that Senator Kennedy knew that before he asked the question. You know, the old know the answer before you ask the question. Listen to this exchange, and now I'm going to warn you, it's a little bit long. But this is what I love about doing this podcast, is we have time to do this and to dig a little deeper. This lady is absolutely not qualified to be serving in a federal court, and Senator Kennedy proves it with some simple questions that most attorneys who practice in these courts would know. This lady who wants to be a judge and who Joe Biden has nominated to be a judge, and do I dare say the unspoken? Because somebody will say that this is racist. But she's another, let's just say she checks another box off of Joe Biden's diversity, equity, inclusion program. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Listen to this exchange between Senator Kennedy and Ms. Meriweather.
Congratulations to each of you. Judge Meriweather, you've been nominated to the Court of Federal Claims, is that right?
Yes, Senator.
How many motions have you argued in the Court of Federal Claims?
I have argued hundreds of motions involving complex civil claims in numerous courts. The Court of Federal Claims is not one of those courts.
Okay, so the answer is 0.
That is correct, Senator.
Okay. How many cases have you tried in the Court of Federal Claims?
I have tried a civil case in the district court for the District of Columbia. Most of my cases have been resolved on motions. None of those cases have been in the Court of Federal Claims, although they involve similarly complex matters under civil laws.
So the answer is 0.
That is correct, Senator.
What is the? Tell me the grounds for granting a new trial in the Court of Federal Claims.
All of the trials in the Court of Federal Claims are bench trials, and the Court of Federal Claims, although it is not bound by the federal rules of civil procedure, its rules mirror those rules when applicable. So it's my understanding that the same rules that would apply in the district court are also applied in that context. But if I were presented with a motion for a new trial, should I be confirmed as a judge on the Court of Federal Claims, I would, of course, consult the rules of court of the Court of Federal Claims.
So what are the grounds for granting a new trial?
My understanding is that a new trial, you would have to comply with the applicable rules.
I know that, but what are they? What are the grounds? You said that the rules are identical to the Court of Federal Claims and Federal District Court. I'm not sure that's accurate, but just tell me what are the grounds for granting a new trial in the Court of Federal Claims?
Senator, that is not an issue I have had occasion to consider before, despite my extensive civil experience and my familiarity, not only with the federal rules of civil procedure, but I've also reviewed the rules of the Court of Federal Claims. But if I were presented...
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Were you through?
I did not mean to speak over you.
That's okay. You go ahead, and I want you to finish your answer.
So I would, if I were presented with that question, should I be confirmed, I would, again, consult the rules and follow the precedent.
All right. Let me be sure, Judge, I understand your testimony. Can you tell me one single ground for granting a new trial in either a federal district court or the Court of Federal Claims as we sit here today?
Yes, if you misapplied, if there were gross misapplication of the law, certainly a litigant would argue for
anything
a
else?
Trial.
There are like 6 or 7 of them. Can you tell me any others?
Trials are so infrequent in the civil context, and although I have presided over bench trials and a jury trial, I have not been presented with a motion to have a new trial.
Okay.
So I've not.
Okay. What's a contract of adhesion?
A contract.
Excuse me.
Senator, I'm familiar with contract law, the concept of contracts of adhesion.
Yeah, you're going to say a lot of that. That's what Federal Court of Federal Claims does. What's a contract of adhesion?
Senator, the Court of Federal Claims does handle a lot of procurement cases. Those typically turn on interpretations.
Yes, ma'am, but I'm going to run out of time. What's a contract of adhesion? If you don't know, just tell me.
Senator, despite my extensive civil experience, including dozens of cases that include contract cases, I have not dealt with the question of what a contract of adhesion is, but should it be presented to me,
sure.
I would.
You'll look it up. Okay.
Again, you got to love this guy, don't you? I mean, when are these nominees going to learn? Of course, I guess they probably know that by now. That would have to be kind of intimidating to be scheduled to appear before John Kennedy, knowing you're going to get a question like this. Wonder if she slept the night before. I bet she was so worried about what he was going to throw at her. Hey, one final thing. Alabama. Breaking news from last night. Kenneth Eugene Smith, who's 58 years old, was executed in Alabama with nitrogen gas. This is a controversial method that causes oxygen deprivation that has been criticized as inhumane following a failed last-minute legal battle. Smith is a convicted murderer, or was a convicted murderer. He was pronounced dead at 8:25 p.m. local time last night at the William C. Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore, Alabama. Prior to Smith's death sentence being carried out, the U.S. Supreme Court had ruled for the second time in a couple of days that the state could proceed with using nitrogen hypoxia to execute Mr. Smith, refusing to block the nation's first execution by a new method since 1982. Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Jackson dissented. Sotomayor wrote, having failed to kill Smith on its first attempt, Alabama has selected him as a guinea pig to test a method of execution never attempted before. The world is watching. For his last meal, Smith was served steak, hash browns, and eggs, according to the Alabama Department of Corrections. He was visited by his wife, his son, 2 friends, and his attorney. Now, I feel for this family, but he took another person's life as well. Smith was put to death last night for his role in the 1988 murder-for-hire plot that killed Elizabeth Sennett. He and John Forrest Parker killed, she was a preacher's wife, for a mere $1,000 apiece. Sennett's husband killed himself a week after the murder. Mr. Parker was executed via lethal injection in 2010. Now, part of the controversy surrounding Smith was the fact that in 2022, Alabama attempted to execute him, but he survived a botched lethal injection. His attorneys described the severe physical pain and psychological torment, including post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I don't want to appear just totally, I view life as precious. I get that. This man did not think that Elizabeth Sennett's life was worthy. He took it for $1,000. And again, that was in 1988. And for all of these years, he has served on death row. For all of these years, the victim's family has had to know that he was still living. And yes, I can't imagine a botched lethal injection. I don't even know how it's possible. But the whole argument that, well, you know, this could be inhumane. This could cause him excruciating pain. Well, he's already caused pain for other people. I've never gotten this argument that when we're executing someone for a horrible crime, and I get it, it should be peaceful, and we shouldn't submit them to physical pain, but it doesn't mean that they get to stay on death row for years and years, for decades actually, just because we don't have a way of doing it. Evidently, Alabama and other states are looking at this method as well. I've never gotten the argument that, well, we have to be careful because we don't want them to hurt when we're putting them to death because they have caused extreme pain for someone else. Love to get your comments on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-5639. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Please join my mailing list. Just go to my website, joeyhudson.com, click on the Connect with Joey button so that you'll be on our email list. I promise you, I don't bombard you, but would love to be able to reach out to you from time to time. And find me on YouTube. Have you subscribed to my YouTube channel yet? If you haven't, please do. Just search for Joey Hudson on YouTube or send me a quick text and I'll send you the link directly to my YouTube channel. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Keep your comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. And keep those emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. Remember, folks, God's got this because he's still in control.